Hello, welcome to my live. My name is Tambourine K, and I am going to try to give you a little bit of news. My name is Tambourine K, and if you're on and you see this lovely live red box, that means that you are on with me. But if you don't see that live, that means that you are on the replay. So just hashtag a replay. Let me see if I could type something and say hi to myself. Anyway, the information that you could get in touch with me is down below. I also have a little business, and you could click on one of them below and you could get on my business page. Let me see if I can share to my page as well. Okay, I think I shared and to my Twitter as well. I'm going to try to share a little bit about news. If you can, please hit that like thumbs up and please hit that notification bell, and also please subscribe to my channel if you can. That will help my channel grow. um, every once in a while I pop on to do a little bit about Texas news because I am from South Texas, a little bitty town in South Texas. And if you close your eyes you will pass through it. But I just scan through my phone and just pick out a little bit of news what I share through for y'all, just to try to make like little spots on my little channel so I can get more videos and get more people to come on to my channel. But anyway, let's see. Okay, here's some for something that could be for y'all. I'm going to like it, and then I'm going to tell y'all what it says. Freezing rain expected impact parts of Central Texas Wednesday and Thursday. So I hope that y'all are going to stay warm. And I have to go to the doctor tomorrow. Uh-oh, that's not cool. Okay, Waco, Texas, just a few weeks removed from yet another February winter storm. Central Texas is gearing up for another round of February winter weather. Unlike winter storms earlier this month and winter storm of 2021, impacts expected to be much lower. Key takeaways: cold Arctic arrives Tuesday with temperatures tumbling through the day Wednesday. Multiple multiple rounds of freezing rain are possible, with the first wave arriving early Thursday and the second arriving overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Instead of seeing widespread and heavy precipitation, the rainfall is expected to be generally scattered. Some spots will see the, I'm sorry about my hand, about, I'm sorry, I get brain fog sometimes. Uh, okay, participation. I am so sorry I got lost. Okay, instead of seeing widespread and heavy precipitation, the rainfall is expected to be generally scattered. Some spots will see precipitation while others may not. Precipitation is also expected to be fairly light, with maybe even only some drizzle. Bridges, overpasses, and infrequently traveled roadways will likely fare the worst and could potentially become impassable. Other roadways, including highways, could remain passable. So I hope that y'all will stay safe up there in North Texas. Y'all please drive safely and please watch out for the roads. Okay, that is some of the weather. I'm going to refresh and see what's on this. Let me see. Okay, I'm refreshing. Okay, let's see what else this has. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just showing y'all my arm like it's nothing. Oh my, look at this. Police in Central Texas arrest men accused of burglarizing several businesses. Let's see what they did. Oh my goodness. Okay. In Cobras Cove, Texas, I never heard of that place. Police on Monday arrested 2 suspects identified as, I'm going to keep their names out of it. I'm just going to do suspects of Cobras Cove after several businesses were burglarized. The officers were dispatched to the 400 block of East Avenue D at approximately 2:30 a.m. on February 21st. That was yesterday. After the alarm was triggered. When officers arrived, they discovered a business had been burglarized. That is so sad. I don't know why people has to keep stealing and breaking into things. During the investigation, officers conducted probable. Let me bring my phone down. I don't think I want to look up my nose. I'm sorry. Both suspects were taken into custody without incident. They were each charged with 4 counts of burglary of building on February 22nd. Leakin and the suspects were arraigned by justice of the peace and each jailed on $4,000 bond. Now that's horrible. Here are the guys. Oh, I'll show y'all the guys. That's the guys that they arrested. Okay, let's see what Greg Abbott's doing. Abbott COVID-19 polling numbers pose a challenge to his opponents. Let's see what he's doing. Okay, Austin, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Let me turn on this. This would be more interesting. Okay, I don't think I want to hear the commercial, so I'll just wait till the news come on, so that way y'all can hear that. Let me see. Okay, here we go.
Deaths across Texas are on the decline. According to data from the Texas Department of State Health Services, Texas is averaging around 5,500 new cases per day. That's the lowest since December. Hospitalizations are also down, the lowest since late December. Meanwhile, the positivity rate is a little bit higher than 8%, the lowest since late November. The United States Supreme Court could soon weigh in on Governor Greg Abbott's executive order banning local entities from issuing mask mandates.
And this comes as the governor finds himself really above water in the polls when it comes to his handling of the pandemic.
And as KXAN's Daniel Marine reports, this is creating a challenge for the governor's political rivals, desperate to land a damaging blow in front of voters.
With election season underway, Governor Greg Abbott has left his primary opponents with little ammunition when it comes to COVID-19. According to fresh polling from UT Austin's Texas Politics Project, of the 1,200 registered voters questioned earlier this month, 45% say they approve of the governor's handling of the pandemic, while 41% disapprove. His approval jumps up to 73% when looking at Republicans only.
You know, his initial handling of COVID and the way that it irritated elements of the far right of the party helped generate some of his primary opposition that we see now, particularly Don Huffines and Allen West.
Jim Henson with the Texas Politics Project says as the governor moved from supporting some COVID restrictions to taking a tougher stance on keeping businesses open and masks and vaccines optional, Huffines and West had to pivot to other issues like border security.
The governor anticipated this fight and has been moving pretty steadily to the right.
And while Abbott's COVID policies remain deeply unpopular with many Democrats, political science professor Brian Smith says don't expect someone like Beto O'Rourke to try and use the pandemic to score points with voters.
So if you're going to defeat Governor Abbott in the fall, somebody like Beto O'Rourke has to come up with an issue that really resonates with all Texans across all party lines, not just Democrats.
Daniel Marin, KXAN News.
February polling from the Texas Politics Project shows Abbott ahead of his nearest primary opponents by 45 percentage points and 10 points ahead of Beto O'Rourke in a potential November showdown. Now, going in depth for you on this, additional polling from the Texas Politics Project revealed how voters actually feel about requiring masks in indoor places. Overall, 45% of people polled said they strongly support masking up inside. 17% said they somewhat support it, while a quarter of those polled said they strongly oppose wearing masks inside.
Digging even deeper as cases drop, the CDC is looking to change its guidelines for when people should wear masks. Right now, the health agency recommends people wear masks inside in places with high transmission of the virus, but the CDC is shifting focus from transmission to hospitalizations as a key measurement for the severity of an outbreak. Basically, if the CDC thinks cases are bad enough in a certain area, it could recommend people mask up again. Here's a map of the states with some of the mask mandates. You see here, only a handful still require people to mask up. Oregon and Washington states are the only two places with masks required in every situation. In California, masks are only required inside for unvaccinated.
And that concludes that. So what are y'all thoughts on what was being said? And I am curious what y'all think about that, if y'all are watching this. Okay. Let me see. I already covered that. Now, this is quite interesting. There is an article that a dad discovered that he went to a coffin and he said, "This is not my son." Texas father discovers the wrong body inside the coffin. That is sad. You go and you discover that is not my son. Okay, we're going to listen to the article. I think that this is a commercial. Hopefully not.
I created this little memorabilia.
Okay, hold on.
In Florida, the vets had requested that their son Kyle his numbers once again.
Okay,
You can see they are eventually scratched out and
wait a minute. Hold on. I'm trying to get this right so y'all can hear it. Okay, let's go here. And I'm going to play this for y'all. Hopefully it's not a commercial. Okay.
I created this little memorabilia, if you will, of Kyle. He was being silly, but that was his personality because he was silly.
Kyle Betts loved his family, baseball, and dancing.
So he was very happy.
He was my best friend. He was my firstborn son.
Davis Brady was also very close to his family. He too loved baseball and music.
He was very smart.
With all of their similarities, these two men had obvious differences.
They didn't look anything alike, either one of these two young men. And there was a huge age difference.
Davis Brady was 22, 6'1", light complected with strawberry blonde hair. Kyle Betts was 36, 5'4", dark complected with dark hair. That makes what you are about to hear next even harder to understand.
This should never, ever happen to any other family.
Their bodies were switched. According to the sheriff's incident report, both Brady and Betts were found together in a Jacksonville, Florida apartment, victims of fatal accidental overdoses.
After you got that horrible phone call, did they ask you or anyone in your family to come ID the body?
No, they should have done that right off the bat.
In their reports, Jacksonville detectives described each victim, but the families say their entries are either incorrect or incomplete.
His complexion wasn't fair and light. He had a tattoo. How can they just be so messed up with all of this?
In login receipts, when the two men were transported to the medical examiner's office, Betts' case number ends in 65. Brady's in 66. The families say the clothing descriptions prove their identities are reversed. One example, Betts, an avid Jaguar fan, always wore this hat. The report states Brady had on the only hat.
They had them switched right away from the very beginning.
24 hours after this report, autopsy exams show those ID numbers, 65 and 66, reversed, this time appearing to correctly match the men to their case numbers. But months later, Toxicology reports reverse those original case numbers once again. You can see they are eventually scratched out and appear to be corrected in handwritten notes. However,
I mean, it's just JSO, disrespect from the beginning, and the inconsistency between a transition from JSO to medical examiner's office.
the medical examiner's office was supposed to send Brady's body home to Waco. But at the viewing, his father says they made this shocking discovery.
The body that rolled in, the hair color's not right, and the beard color wasn't right. The whole complexion wasn't correct. And I said, that is not my son.
Brady's mom immediately started making frantic calls to Florida, to Beth's mom.
It was a very distraught message. Your son is here, and she's in Texas.
They were about to learn, just days before that call, in Florida, the Betts had requested that their son Kyle be cremated.
And in my mind, immediate panic, because I thought to myself, I know where her son is. If my son is there, her son has already been cremated. I contacted our funeral home right away. I said, please tell me Kyle hasn't been cremated yet. Cremated today. Of all the timing, he'd just been cremated when she had reached out to me.
To make matters even more painful, cremation is against the Brady's religious beliefs.
It's in the Mormon church. They prepare you for burial by embalming. I'll never be able to bury my son's body. We received the ashes, and I'm still not sure that's all, but I have doubts.
At that point, I reached out to the medical examiners.
Beth says the medical examiner's office confirmed the mix-up and then made her an upsetting offer.
Your son has been flown to Texas. Their fix was the easy, least expensive fix possible. Would you like for us to get him cremated? Hell no, you're not cremating my son over there in Texas. How do I absolutely know for sure that's even my son in Texas? This poor mom needs her son's body moved to Texas, and I definitely want my son in Jacksonville.
Today, both families are exploring legal options, blaming the sheriff's department and the ME's office in Florida. Here in Texas, it raises a question you may be asking. How common is this?
How common is this?
Rare.
Jim Bates with the Funeral Consumer Alliance of North Texas says they hear hundreds of complaints a year, typically about the preparation or appearance of a body, not about body switches.
Can you estimate how many times you've heard of it?
I really can't think of a single time.
The I-Team obtained state records which show since 2015 4 similar complaints, not buried in the plot, 2 bodies in one grave, and an empty grave. In this plot by mistake, placed in the wrong plots.
How common is this?
There's actually no way to know if there's a cremation, if it's closed caskets. It may happen more often, and I suspect it does, than people report.
Attorneys Mark Greenwald and Alex Katzman say nationwide the number of similar headlines and the number of law firms handling these cases proves they are not uncommon.
So we've handled cases where they misidentified the body at the mortuary level, at the funeral home level, mistakenly cremated people who did not wish to be cremated. We have literally had to dig people up from the ground who were not supposed to be buried in that place.
They tell me they have 2 pending cases right now, hauntingly similar to the Betts and Davis families.
This is what I have left of my son.
Along with the heartache, Stephen Brady now carries what he says he can only assume are his son's ashes.
Somebody needs to be held accountable. Accountability of the medical examiner and accountability to the Duval County SO and detective that was on the case.
Did you ever get an apology, any phone call
No,
from
ma'am.
any? No one's ever contacted you.
Nobody has ever contacted me.
Both families say the trail of documents only raises more questions about what went wrong.
I feel like they just totally forgot about the fact that he was a human being, that he was somebody's son, that he was somebody's brother, etc., that he was loved.
The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office sent us a statement saying it could not answer questions. It said the medical examiner's office is responsible for the identification and release of bodies. You would need to reach out to them. The ME's office in Florida declined to do an interview, citing potential litigation. Jim Bates and the attorneys we talked to for this story gave us some very good advice, but I need to warn you, this is hard to talk about. If you lose a loved one, you need to go identify the body or have someone you know do it for you. And if neither of you can do it in person, use Zoom or FaceTime. The body should have a tag. Ask to see the number and match that number to the name, and both of those on all documents should match up. If you're told you can't do that, or there are any other red flags, you can have your family member moved to another funeral home. And don't feel hurried about this entire process. Delays should only cost you about $50 a day, and that's for refrigeration of a body. Death Care Services use interns who need these hours, but these interns should be supervised by funeral directors, and you want to make sure that happens. You can look closely for all of those practices in the fine print on your contracts, which we always say you need to read closely. And if you have a problem, there are 2 places here in Texas to file complaints. And I've explained that process, which can be complicated, all on our website. I'm Ginger Allen, CBS 11 News.
That is so sad. What are y'all thoughts on that? That is sad. I would be so mad if that happened to me. That is just so sad. That is sad. Let me see what else. Okay. Let me see what this is. Let's see. Here is another one. It is Governor Abbott leading narrow against Beto. Okay, let's see what this is. One more, and then I will hop off.
I hated sticking my fingers.
Well,
Then
I'm
I got
sorry.
the ticks.
That is a commercial. Wow. Anyway, I hope y'all are having a blessed Tuesday and y'all are staying safe out there. And I'm waiting on my Bella's bark box. She gets a bark box. Okay, here we
poll
go.
from the Dallas Morning News and UT Tyler shows that Governor Abbott's double-digit lead over Beto O'Rourke has shrunk to single digits.
Uh-oh.
Here to talk about this is former Texas GOP Chairman James
Here we
Dickey
go.
and
Let me
Travis
see if
County
my hand
Democratic
is
Park
getting-
Katie Naranjo.
Oh, y'all can see it better.
Katie, starting with you, the governor has started to lose his lead against presumptive Democratic nominee Beto O'Rourke. Does the lead narrow even more as we get closer to November?
Traditionally, we've seen these leads narrow as we get closer to November, and I think it's going to be more significant in this case because Texans are looking to get out of the pandemic. And the reality is our state's leadership has not done the work that Texas families need to be able to move on from the pandemic in Texas. And so I expect it to lead more, or to narrow more than what we've seen in past elections.
James Dickey, should Governor Abbott and the Texas GOP be concerned about this latest polling?
Well, we've said for decades there are only 2 ways to run: unopposed and scared, and there isn't anyone unopposed. So, and by that I mean take every race seriously. And the good candidates who run on either side, whether in the primary or the general, if they have an opponent, they take that seriously, and they take seriously the need to earn every vote. Governor Abbott does so, and so I know he's doing that right now in the primary, and I know he will do that in the general.
You know, Katie, again, this is Texas. Can Beto really beat a Republican governor who is also ahead right now with independent voters?
The governor's having to run further far right than he has and probably really is ideologically in order to win the primary. The fact that he is not leading more in the primary than he is now is a concern already for him. And to continue to push further right just means he's going to be losing those independent bases. In addition to that, we're going to see some significant changes both at the federal level and with the Supreme Court decisions coming out in June that will greatly impact voters' opinions and what they're going in to vote for. And in this latest poll, the governor's losing on some of those issues.
James Dickey, what does the governor do from here in light of this little picking away at the polling?
Well, first, they both need to win their primary. But then the important thing is to just continue to remind voters that if they love what they're seeing from Biden, if they love what they see from Nancy Pelosi, then O'Rourke is their guy, because he is just a mix between Hunter Biden and Nancy Pelosi, and that's what they would get if they voted for that. But fortunately, this poll shows a majority trusts Republicans more on every single issue that's important, on immigration, on education, even on race. Trust Republicans more. Independents overall, Texas is going in the right direction, much more so than the federal government is. And we all know it's Democrats who are causing that poor rating of the federal government.
I see Katie smiling. Talk about the strategy. Does Beto's, is this proof that Beto's strategy is working, or does now he need to make some changes? What's the thought with the campaign?
The reality is the Republicans are going to have to answer for their crimes against our federal government. And quite frankly, the criminal way that they've handled the state's power grid, our foster care system, and our healthcare system, each which are on verge of collapse. And I know everyone likes to talk about Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. The Republican Party is the Trump Party. And they have to answer for Donald Trump, who continues to keep cozy with Putin and Russians and make huge missteps when it comes to his own financial reports. His accountants firing him last week, for example, and being careless with confidential information. So I think the Republicans will have a lot to answer for as Trump continues to be the leader of their party. And the Texans ultimately do not support that in November.
Well, we will see. For now, we're out of time, though. So, Katie, James, thank you both very much.
And I am out of time as well. But what are y'all thoughts on that article? Y'all have a blessed day. God bless. Stay safe. Bye-bye, y'all. Thank you for watching.